I'm Dr. Devontae Johnson.
And I'm Dr. DeJuan Stevens of Eastside Dental Group, where we're open nights and weekends.
And we just jumped off the porch with Dirty Glove Bastard.
I'm a black man with the bloodhounds. Mac 10 making love sounds to a bad chick. She from uptown, I'm from down south, not allowed.
Yes, sir. All right, y'all. We got Eastside Dental Group, Dr. Devontae Johnson and Dr. DeJuan Stevens jumping off the porch with us today. What's good with it?
Chilling, man. It's a blessing, dog.
Yeah, blessed to be here.
That's what's up, man. Appreciate y'all pulling up, jumping off the porch with us, man. It's a different vibe, and I'm definitely am excited to have a conversation with you guys and enlighten, our viewers, our listeners to, exactly what you guys are doing in the dental field and, all that.
100%. Now we're excited to do it.
Yes, sir. That's what's up. All right, so Eastside Dental. First of all, where did the name come from, and how did you guys come together to, form your what would you call it? Your dentist or orthodontist office, or what do you?
Dental practice. Yeah. Dental practice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
You got it. Yeah.
It really came about. So we went to dental school in Boston, a school named Tufts University, and there weren't too many people from Georgia in the area. And seeing that he went to a school on the east side, and I went to a school kind of similar on that side, I went to Shiloh. Whenever we see each other in the hallways, it'd just be like, instead of saying each other's name, what's up, east side? What's up, east side? Yeah. It just kind of stuck. And then afterwards, once we got out of school, we kind of saw a lot of the same similar type of procedures. A lot of our colleagues may not have seen some things that we were kind of interested in. Then we just continued to talk, and over time, we was like, you know what, maybe we should do something together.
Oh.
So.
Yeah, 100%. And again, from us being from that side of town, we wear that side of town with a sense of pride, and being able to stand on the shoulders of giants to get us to the, to become dentists, to become doctors. Now being able to go back to that same side of town to be able to support in a healthcare way, I think is just a huge opportunity for us. So it just made sense when we were kind of coming up with names.
Word. And did you guys, after getting out of dental school, did you guys do the traditional, working at another dental practice and realize that you wanted to become entrepreneurs?
100%, yeah. So we both worked in other offices for about 3 years.
Okay.
And I think that's just important, just clinically, right? You just want to get exposed and get some good mentorship, right? So we're able to kind of become understudies under some other people, get our skill sets up, see a ton of different procedures, give and take certain things that we wanted to add to our practice. We learned a lot through that process, and then when we kind of got to a point where we had kind of got to the highest level as an associate, we were like, all right, we want to start our own situation, and what does that look like for us?
Yeah, I feel like that's important. I always tell aspiring entrepreneurs that getting experience from actually working in the field, working in a professional setting, will make you more valuable and a stronger, entrepreneur or specialist in what you do, just from gaining skills from, working in another practice or in a professional setting. So
100%.
Definitely think that's super important. So was dentistry something that you aspired to do at an early age? Like as a kid, did you know that, okay, I want to be a dentist, or was it something, did you know that you wanted to be in the medical field but not sure early on?
Starting out, I'll say absolutely. I knew I wanted to be a dentist around 7 years old.
Wow.
Originally, I was born in Mississippi, a very small town, Indianola, Mississippi. We didn't really have access to care as often as other people. So I remember, having to travel for an hour, to a city called Mountain Bayou. We used to go out there for community clinics, and now I always go whenever I'm in pain. Because unfortunately, when you don't know, you only go once you're in pain. So I had a lot of dental emergencies. And although some of the dentists at the time may not have looked like me, they were still very welcoming, which I can appreciate. Because, sometimes I understand the bad rep Mississippi gets. So they would allow me to play with the instruments. To me, it's just toys and tools. And okay, but every time I go, I'm out of pain. That definitely kind of sparked the interest. But it really stuck. I used to go to a church, and there was an older gentleman who was maybe 75, 80 at the time. Couldn't stand him. No one could stand him. He maybe had 4 or 5 teeth in his mouth at the time. And one day he came into church with a bright pink Easter colored suit on, and it wasn't Easter. but he had a new set of dentures. And, you know, I remember at Sunday school that morning vividly, we were running around trying to find some candy. He gives us candy. It's never happened before. And then you hear the old people saying, you know what? He got a new set of teeth and it changed his life. And I'm like, man, I'm 7 years old. It's changing my life right now. So I'm like, that's what I want to do. For sure.
Did you aspire as well at an early age?
I didn't. I knew I wanted to go into healthcare though.
Okay.
So my dad, he's a barber,
Okay.
right? So actually, if you go back to the origin of dentists, like the barber was the dentist, right? So they used to take out teeth, they used to do bloodletting, things like that. So my dad is a barber and then my mom is a nurse, right? So my mom kind of was that intro into healthcare, and just collectively as a family, we're a family of just lifelong servants. Like we ushers and we just kind of help people a lot. So I knew I wanted to be in the health field, but it wasn't until I kind of got exposed to it through my mom at Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, right? So in her department, which was craniofacial, so those are kids with cleft palate, cleft lip. They have feeding problems when they first come out, and they have a comprehensive unit of people that work with these kids. So it's plastic surgeons, right, that are doing different molds for the kids. You got pediatric dentists, you have orthodontists, they're doing braces for these kids, speech pathologists. So being able to see dentistry in this form of just this community where everybody's connected with a lot of moving pieces and other healthcare professionals, that kind of drew me to it. And then when I kind of did my research and connected with a lot of dental professionals, I saw that they had a very balanced lifestyle, right? They were able to kind of coach their kids' teams. They weren't on call, it paid well, and they also were able to do a service at a high level to make people feel good about themselves, right? So it just was a good balance for me, and it made the most sense.
Word. And I know Atlanta is a lot different than most cities, where here in Atlanta you will go to a doctor or a dentist's office and see black dentists, go to a bank and in other professional settings and see black people working in those in that field. But I know where I'm from in Milwaukee, I'm very sure where you're from in Mississippi, when you go into a lot of these professional settings, we don't see people that look like us. Mm-hmm. I think it's, so important that we do, see people that look like us so that we at a young age know that that's something that's even realistic. But then I think you guys take it a step further, being younger black men that are in this profession and run your own practice. How important is that for you guys to, be an example for other people and showing them that, you can actually become a doctor, you can be a dentist, and even run your own practice?
You got it.
For me, like I said, just like you said, understanding that I'm from Mississippi, you don't see these things too often. And as we're continuing to grow, people feel like we're like big brothers in a sense versus, a grandfather. A lot of times in dentists you see older fellas and things like that. So because we're relatable and we're someone that they can reach, we feel as if a lot of people will kind of listen to our advice or our guidance. And of course, we're gonna let everyone run their own race, of course. But in the event where things that may happen to us or maybe that we could have potentially been going through is a little more recent, so it's a little more accessible to them. Because, okay, they did this 3 or 4 years ago, so I'm not too far behind, so what can I do to make sure that whatever mistakes or even the positive things that comes about it, whatever they've done, how can I do it better? And because, we are so welcoming, it just allows the conversation to be started. Because really the hardest thing is stop to go. A lot of people don't really have anyone that they can look up to or even have a conversation with. So we pride ourselves on being very welcoming. We have interns coming to the office from time to time. We want everyone to succeed for sure.
Right. Yeah, 100%. I would say the biggest thing is that you can't be what you can't see, right? And the vision isn't just limited to just like what you actually see, but also like in your mind what you can't see, right? But physically seeing somebody operating in this capacity, very helpful for people, right? So it's no different than Obama being president. It's like, we were growing up and we saw a black man being president, regardless if you knew about his policies, regardless if you knew what he was doing internationally, you knew as a black guy that you could be president because you saw one. Yeah. That type of thing. So that's kind of the space that we're in right now, where just being visible, having those conversations with youth, and just explaining to them that we just like you.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think also, being relatable and us, us having a place or people like yourselves where you might not where you might not feel as comfortable sharing, you know, some of your health issues, dental issues, things like that, or certain questions because you don't want to sound stupid. But it's like if you're talking to someone that's like a peer, someone who looks like me, then I can, you know, I'll feel a lot more comfortable just asking certain questions and things like that. So now let's talk about your guys', I would say, non-traditional approach, you know, to your marketing. Okay, one night I'm in Magic City, and you know I might have got a dance or three, and order some wings, and then I go to the restroom, and as I'm washing my hands, I see a sign, you know, for your guys' practice, as well as I'm given a free toothbrush and some toothpaste, like a whole kit. And I was so shocked, you know, to be in the strip club. I actually brushed my teeth right there in the bathroom, right then and there. Like, let me go ahead and, you know, get myself right. But how did you guys, you know, even think to come with, you know, an unorthodox approach like that, like marketing in a place like Magic City?
Yeah, I think foundationally it started with just figuring out ways to meet people where they are. When you think about healthcare, a lot of times there's so many barriers of entry, right? So one main barrier that we always know about is insurance. So a lot of people feel like they can't walk into certain rooms because they're not covered, right? So with healthcare providers, one thing that we saw was that a lot of us are like kind of siloed in our offices, and we're waiting for people to come to us. And we just felt like with the energy that we have and the community impact that we want to make, it's important that we kind of meet people where they are. And a lot of times the people are in the club, they're at the restaurants, they're at the gyms, they're at all these different places, right? So being able to have that mental reminder of like, look, your oral health matters, and we're here for you, and we're open when, you know, when other people might not be open. We're open nights and weekends. We just felt like we wanted to do something super unique in that capacity, just to bring people in. And, you know, it's just something that we had never seen before, and we just wanted to stretch our imagination to try it.
Right. No, that's what's up. Now, a question I have for you guys when it comes to tooth health, gum health, you know, things like that. Is there, when it comes to drinking liquor and even with smoking, is there a certain type of liquor, like whether it's brown or white, that would cause tooth decay faster than another type of liquor? And then with smoking, would smoking blunts versus smoking joints cause, you know, things to happen to your teeth faster than the other?
I'd say no. It's a great question though. But the biggest thing is hydration. You know, a lot of times in the mouth, a lot of things can be avoided with just saliva flow. But then also understanding that, think for example, you smoking, whether it's a blunt or a cigarette or black and mild, whatever the case may be, your mouth is now dry. And let's say if you didn't go in Magic City and brush your teeth or potentially floss, now that dryness is allowing cavities to kind of further invade into the tooth, which could then cause a problem. So what I like to tell everybody, of course, do what you want to do, enjoy your life. You know, we all want to drink, smoke, whatever the case may be. At least get a cup of water if you can't get to a toothbrush. But I wouldn't say it's one or another is better or worse for you, whether it's white versus dark. Like I said, at the very least, you just kind of want to flush your mouth out as often as you can, because it just buys you more time.
Got you. Okay. Yeah, I always wonder, like, does brown, like, is that worse for your teeth, or, you know what I mean, like drinking Hennessy, and it's like, man, that's why your teeth falling out.
You just can't go to sleep without brushing your teeth. That's the thing. You go to the club, go home, go to sleep.
Yeah.
You got to stop doing that. Brush your teeth. Your teeth will be with you when you're 80 years old. Simple stuff like that.
Okay, so in that same light, in that same vein, how many times should you really brush your teeth on a daily basis?
It all depends on the type of toothbrush you use, I will say. For those of you all who don't know, use a soft bristle toothbrush, because a lot of times you think the more aggressive something is, the better it cleans, right? You got to think, you've had these teeth in your mouth since 12 years old, and you want to live to 80, 90 years old. Eventually, that abrasiveness starts to wear down the tooth. And that was the hardest thing in the body. So at the very least, like I said, soft bristle toothbrush. What I like to tell people, because I'm a realist as well, twice a day is the standard. If you want to go above and beyond after every meal, but even if you don't brush after every meal, floss, because you'll be surprised at things that the toothbrush don't pick up. And like I said, I'll take it one step further. If you can't brush or floss, cup of water, something simple as swishing around, spitting it out, cool. And just make sure you kind of get in like that little sulcus area on the sides, because you'll be surprised at how much bacteria just sits in that area. So that's what I'll start with.
Okay, word. You guys pride yourselves in just being different, from your marketing approaches. I've seen that you work with different influencers. I just saw Lou Young doing a video where like he came and interned at the office for a day or whatever.
Shout out to Lou.
What are some things that makes Eastside Dental Group different from your traditional dentist practice that you may walk into?
Yeah, so I'll set the stage as a lot of dental professionals, medical professionals in general, you sacrifice a lot to get to that point of becoming the doctor, right? So you went to school for all these years, some people 10 years, some of the medical doctors, their residencies are even longer than that. And then after you get out of school, what you're not thinking about is working more days, right? You're not thinking about working on the weekends, right? Because you sacrificed your weekends for all these years before trying to get to this point, right? So the biggest thing that we do, thinking about things from the working class perspective, right? So a lot of the working class in this economy, they don't have the time to take off work to come to the dentist. And it's mainly because a lot of times the current schedule doesn't support that, right? So the dental office is closing at 3 o'clock or they're closing at 4 o'clock. You gotta go to work. There's stuff to do, right? So, or you have to take off to go to work. So what we wanted to do was kind of combat that by having later hours. So during the week, we're open till 8 o'clock. And then on the weekends, we're open Saturdays and Sundays, right? So it's not necessarily a new model per se, but I think that the people that have done the weekend opening, they haven't really kind of marketed as much as we have. And what that does is, again, it's an opportunity to get the people that normally might not be in there to get in, because now you have no excuse. It's like, we open till 8 o'clock, you could come. Oh, we're open on the weekends. We open on Sundays, right? So now it's allowing more people to come in, especially dental emergencies too, right? So the issue with dental emergencies, which is like a few $1 billion problem, is that these dental emergencies happen when the dental office is closed, right? So they end up going to like the emergency department, emergency room, and there's generally not a dentist on staff at the emergency room. So, they might give them some antibiotics or some medication to help them out, but, they get out of pain, but they didn't solve the problem per se, right? So us being available, we're able to address some of these emergencies like immediately, and we've been helping a lot of people in that capacity.
Would you say that your target audience, your target patient is, like the mom that's working a 9-to-5 job and has a kid and can't get off work or doesn't want to have to pull their kid out of school? Or is it the entrepreneur, the people who also work non-traditional types of jobs, things like that?
Answer choice for that would be C, both. Because we, one, don't want to box ourselves in, but two, just understanding, like a lot of times entrepreneurs may not have a Fortune 500 job where they have the benefits, so we offer a specific in-house plan for them, where we think is definitely better than typical dental insurance, because therefore you don't have any additional deductibles, no additional copays. So in that avenue, we're definitely approaching them. But as far as the moms and kids, granted, I'm not a parent right now, but I can only imagine. And we already know what our parents are doing for us. And seeing that it seems like as we age, is less and less time in the day. You have to go to work. You have to take care of the kids, whether it's soccer practice, football practice. You have to cook, things like that. So because there's so many hurdles you have to get through and go over, our goal is just to be accessible, and that's the biggest thing, like Devontae was just saying. You just don't really have the opportunities. So at the very least, their only free day is a Saturday. And with the way the economy is moving right now, some people may not want to take off and use that PTO. Most people want to cash that PTO in, at the end of the year. So at the very least, if they know they're off Saturdays and Sundays and Eastside Dental is open, now they can come see us. The only thing you had to do on a Saturday was take your kid to the football game, and after that, you just got to wash your car. So it's like you might as well go and get your tooth cleaned and kind of see what's going on, so we can just make you aware of what's going on inside your mouth.
Okay.
So short answer, both.
Okay. And I want to continue to talk about your guys' in-house insurance. Is that the proper way to say it? So, and that's also non-traditional. Can you speak more on that and explain that a little more?
So yeah, starting out, our in-house plan is $240 a year. It covers all your basic general exams, cleaning, x-rays, or oral cancer screenings, any additional emergencies that you may have is covered in that. But our kicker, I guess the call to action with that is the fact that we offer 30 to 40% off all dental treatments. And we're big number guys. So let's say, for example, if you don't have insurance, one particular thing in dentistry may cost $4,000 or so. With our in-house plan, if you pay that $240 one time a year, that number comes down to $2,800. So you just pay for it in itself right then and there. And I also understand that in dentistry, for some reason, those that come before us have kind of set the standard and set the stage. I know a lot of people tend to say, we're car salesmen and stuff like that.
100%.
We're not car salesmen, but understanding that the path that was led before us allowed patients to ask for discounts. But I'm gonna say this one thing: you'll never ask your physician, "Hey, let me get $2,000 off this heart transplant."
Right.
But in dentistry, you're like, "Hey, doc, F with me. Come on, let's take $100 off." Things like that. So we're just gonna cut the head of the snake right then and there. We're gonna bring that number down for you. Get the in-house plan. Now you don't have to keep chasing down, being on the phone with these different insurance companies, trying to get a $2,000 maximum. It's no maximum for us. So if you got every tooth that needs some work, once you pay that $240, that number comes down drastically, and that can really help further your confidence, help further getting you out of pain, and eventually keep your trust in us.
Wow.
100%.
That's changing the game.
Yeah.
Because you have so many people who have this fear of the price. You go to the dentist, you go get a cleaning. First of all, the cleaning costs so much, but then if they have to do extractions and they give you this long list of things that you need done, and you looking and it's tallying up, like you said, $4,000, $5,000. That can that'll definitely make people just deal with the pain, take some pain pills or do whatever, eat on one side of their mouth for a year or two.
A lot of that.
So no, that's really dope. You guys are definitely changing the game with that. Are you finding that other dental practices, other people within that realm, like is there hate coming from other people within like this world of dentistry because of how you guys are being non-traditional and sort of changing the game?
In my opinion, I mean, if it is, I don't see it. You know what I mean? Like, I think we're so tunnel vision on like what we're building, because we're going like opposite of everybody else per se with like how we're approaching things. I'm not really sure, truthfully. I will say that like there are a lot of people that are watching what we're doing, because of just like the influence that we're having in the market and just like the way that the culture is responding to the type of work that we're doing. So I think a lot of people are just trying to see, okay, let's see if this works. Let's see if this approach to the game is working. So I think it's a lot more just observation more than anything. I don't think people are like praying for our downfall or anything like that. Mainly because again, we're in healthcare, and I mean, the healthcare spend is like ridiculous, right? There's people with real issues, right? What we're doing is a drop in the bucket. You know what I mean? Culturally, it's dope. It get the likes and the looks and things like that. But like in the grand scheme, like this isn't half the thing of what's going on, right? We got to do more policy changes. Like we got to get into some whole other stuff for the impact to get to a certain level, and that's what we're working on as well. But I don't think it's no malice towards us, truthfully.
And I'll really say another thing why I really don't see it being any type of malice towards us is because we're doing what a lot of people don't want to do. Right. Unfortunately in dentistry, let's say from the time I was 7 years old to whenever I finished dental school, you're told, hey, you're going to be a dentist Monday through Thursday and golf on Fridays. So you've been conditioned one way for 20 years, and someone comes left field and say, hey, we'll be open on weekends. They're like, best of luck. Because of that surprise, you'll be surprised at how many other dentists refer to us because of that. So for example, their patient may hopefully be with them Monday through Thursday or Friday. But like in the event you have an emergency, because I'm going to be on the golf course, go to Eastside Dental Group. So because of that, I feel like it's been very positive. We're getting a lot of love. So.
Right. And I asked that question like that because it almost seems like with your guys' model, you're almost exposing, how we're probably overcharged, in some cases. So that's why I asked, if there's been any just weird energy within that world because, you guys are moving at such a non-traditional pace.
And I'll say this, and again, to the comment on the overcharge thing, I think it kind of just goes into just healthcare expense in general. Like healthcare in America in general is just very expensive.
Yeah.
And so that's the reason why you have so many people going to these other countries getting stuff done, right? So they're going to Turkey, they're going to Colombia, they're going to wherever, or they're even going to somebody's basement, right? They're going to somewhere to get this work done. So the need is there, but because of the cost, some people are risking their life, risking their safety potentially, but it's because of the position that they got put in, right? They have a need, they have a want, they have a desire, but it's so expensive to get to that thing that they have to go look other places. And then when you start talking about dental insurance or insurance, right, and thinking about what that actually covers, we kind of call dental insurance in America, it's kind of like one tooth insurance, right? Like that your dental coverage or your maximum can really probably help, you do work on one or two teeth, right? It's not sufficient enough to do anything, right? It's more like a coupon, right? So knowing that and knowing the customer, we wanted to find a way for people to get work done. Because at the end of the day, if the work needs to be done, let's try to figure out a way to get it done. So that's why we implemented the in-house plan to where it's like, all right, let's discount it a little bit. Let's figure out a way for you to come in here and get some stuff checked off the list, because neglect is the ultimate issue that leads into situations where those teeth that could have been saved, now you losing these teeth because the barrier was too high for you to get in.
Yeah, no, for sure. And can you guys speak to, we see a lot of these kiosks at the mall for teeth whitening and things like that. And I've heard several dentists say that, I've never done one of those before, but I've heard dentists and different people say that that's not like a replacement for actually going to the dentist and getting your teeth cleaned. But a lot of people will go to that teeth whitening route instead of actually going to the dentist.
And no disrespect to those who are, offering those teeth whitenings or tooth gems and things like that. But transparently, you don't really know what's going on without an x-ray or without officially evaluating them out. A lot of times these people who are proceeding with the teeth whitening, it's a cut and dry, black and white. We're whitening your teeth, you leave. But here at the dental office, once you get the cleaning and get the x-rays, we'll see everything that's going on so we can make you aware of what's going on. And then as we continue to speak with you, you can become concerned. And once you're concerned, then the ball's in your court. It's ultimately on you. But yeah, that was a great point. But officially, you cannot just think that going to someone who isn't a dentist, who also didn't go to school for the amount of years that we have to further try to help you, that is just not a end all be all right there. So yeah, definitely come to the dentist.
Got you. And veneers have become very popular over the years. We're seeing so many people out here with these brand new smiles. Some people, look like they got piano keys in their mouth. But then I've been recently hearing this term, veneer breath.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure if that was a real thing. And then I was watching something last night and I heard some dentists talking about that as well. Can you guys explain first of all, what is like the big popularity, with the veneers now, and what is veneer breath?
Yeah, I'm gonna dive into it. You
Get the breath. Yeah.
So let's start off with the veneer breath. You can go into the veneer.
I'll start with veneer then.
Okay, you go start with the veneer thing. Yeah.
Essentially, a veneer is a cosmetic procedure. Most of the time, people may elect to go with veneers because they have spacing or extreme crowding. It's just the quickest way to get from A to Z. So, sometimes people may not want to be in braces for 2 years and, then proceed with the whitenings and fillings and things like that. It's like, what can I do to get to my end goal as fast as possible. A lot of times it is veneers, and just like he was saying, people tend to go to Colombia, Turkey, and things like that to get these veneers. That's when the veneer breath can potentially come about, but I'm just gonna strictly talk about what an actual veneer is. So when I say it's cosmetic, people may come in saying, hey doc, I want a veneer on all my teeth, but then we look inside the mouth and the tooth just has a root tip right there. You have nothing to hold on to it. So I think it's very important that we educate people on what an actual veneer is. So when I say it's cosmetic, essentially the front side of the tooth, all you're doing is shaving down a little bit of the front, a little bit of the sides, and just the chewing surface. So what you can see is only my veneer, but on the backhand side is most of the tooth. So it's not really fully exposed. It's not fully covered, I guess I can say. So maybe a third of the tooth is covered by the veneer. So if you don't have a healthy tooth underneath that veneer, you're playing with fire. So a lot of times you may go to these countries just kind of like those people who may go get the teeth whitening. It's strictly a transaction for a lot of these people in these different countries because they know that the Americans are coming over to spend these dollars because it's so much more expensive in the US. So you say you want veneers, we're gonna put veneers on your teeth. We're not gonna do anything else. So a lot of times we're seeing the downward spiral that comes from it when they come into the office and it's like, okay, well, I got these veneers, but I'm in pain. So like I said, just big on understanding what an actual veneer is, but I'll kind of let you get into veneer breath.
Yeah, so the thing, basically, going back to what he's saying, a lot of people, they want the new smile, they want the smile to look good, and, they spend the money, they go wherever they want to go to get it done, right? They go to Turkey, they go to Colombia, they go someplace in the States. But what's not happening is they're not maintaining the smile, right? So, for lack of a better term, getting veneers is just like getting a Ferrari, right? For a Ferrari, you're gonna get that oil change a little bit more often than a Camry. But what's going on is people is getting this work done, even if they didn't spend as much as the next person, but they're not going to keep those routine cleanings, right? So I would argue that if you're getting veneers, I would get my teeth cleaned probably every 4 months, opposed to every 6, at the minimum, just to make sure everything's still looking how it's looking. But a lot of people are getting this work done and they haven't got their teeth cleaned in a year, 2 years, right? So then when you see them, they got this build up, right? Because it's so much stuff that's built up under there. You got to keep those things clean really well. They got build up, and that's affecting their breath. And that's why their breath is going off the charts. It's because they're not maintaining this work that they've invested in.
Got you. So you got all this bacteria building up behind the actual veneers.
100%.
And since cosmetically, or when you're looking at someone, you can't see it. The veneers might be white, but underneath it, there's
all type of stuff.
Yeah, a lot of people with veneers. I encourage you all to look on the backhand side of the tooth. You can do this in the mirror and kind of open your jaw up so you can kind of see what's going on. If it's looking a little dark yellow, that's how you know it's kind of probably that calculus buildup. Come to the dentist because you can't get that off with regular floss or a toothbrush. You need to come see us because that may cause a fellow who has some veneers to miss out on the young lady because you think you got the job done because you got the veneers,
Right.
but your whole oral cavity is toe up because you haven't taken care of that Ferrari like he's just talking about.
100%.
Wow. Now, with bacteria in the mouth, whether it's from wearing veneers or your normal teeth and not doing the proper cleaning and things like that, can that bacteria affect or create, even like sexually transmitted diseases, like or things close to that nature? Like, let's say you have a lot of bacteria in your mouth and then you're doing oral on a girl, or vice versa, your girl's doing oral on you, but has all that bacteria in the mouth. Could that transfer over, to you, or how does that work?
Well, I will say that the bacteria can transfer. Well, you have to have the sexually transmitted disease to transfer it to somebody else. But I will say that the biggest thing is that, you could definitely transfer bacteria to one another. Not sexually transmitted bacteria, nothing like that, but somebody would have to have it for it to be transferred.
You can't throw off your pH though.
Yeah, you can throw off your pH a lot though. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, all right. And you said that getting the teeth clean, you should do that how many times per year?
At the minimum, at least twice a year.
Okay.
At least twice a year. But a lot of times there's a ton of people who have like gum disease and like That's like a very common thing, especially based on lifestyle. If you've been out of the dental office for like a few years and things like that, a lot of times, a lot of people have a lot of buildup under the gums, so they need a little bit more of a deeper cleaning, right? So getting you back on track with your oral health, a lot of times you might have to start off with a deeper cleaning, and then your frequency might be a little bit more often, so it might be every 3 to 4 months, just to get you back to a certain space. Because again, the biggest thing is that not getting seen by a professional, and you kind of got a certain lifestyle, you're not really maintaining your oral hygiene, it can lead to a situation where your teeth start to have a little bit of bone loss. And then that foundation of those teeth start getting rocky, right? So now these teeth are starting to get mobile, and then you could just lose teeth just from just not maintaining your hygiene. And I mean, nothing cavity related per se, but just from you not maintaining your hygiene, you can start getting a ton of bone loss around those teeth. And these teeth, people are taking their own teeth out just because, again, it's lost that foundation.
Wow. Yeah. And then you had mentioned earlier too, like people getting braces done like in the living room and stuff like that. Like I've heard of people, like I've heard of like someone talking about a dentist, like where you can like just go to the house and they'll hook you up with some braces or.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
If it feels wrong, it probably is wrong.
Right.
No,
Right.
for
And
sure.
it's a lot more people like they're cracking down on a lot of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, cause that's a felony to be kind of operating, because you're operating as a licensed professional.
Right.
But the other thing too, like, there's a lot of stuff that we have to do when it comes to sterilization, right? So like people are doing things, you could potentially cut somebody's lip, or like you're using materials that, blood gets on. Like, what are they doing to sterilize those materials? So you can literally put your life at risk, because what if that patient that she did braces on before had some type of venereal disease or something, right, where it wasn't sterilized properly. Now they transfer that to you, just because, again, you wanted to get something for a discount, or in a more, a setting that made sense for you. So again, one side of it is, healthcare is expensive, unfortunately, and we're trying to work to figure out better ways to make it more affordable and more accessible for people. But the other side of it is, man, we got to use our logic and common sense, and not be, in somebody's apartment complex getting this work done and risking our life over this.
Yeah, no, for sure. Now, most people don't think of dental care and culture, in the same sentence. You guys have been doing a really good job, bridging the gap. We've been talking about some of your non-traditional ways of marketing. Why do you see dentistry as a part of the culture?
Well, I think the biggest thing is just that, I think the culture, when I think about the culture, hip hop, music, everything, it kind of leans into like wealth and like having the rides, having the cars, having all these things, right? But it's just like, if you're not healthy, you can't enjoy those fruits of the labor anyway, right? So I just think that it's just important, because the culture has the attention of our community, right? And we always tapped into what's going on culturally. We know who album just dropped, we know who got into a fight, we know who in jail, we know all these things. And it's just like, our job is being able to connect the things that people already have the attention on, and connecting to something that really matters, which is your health, right? So just finding ways to connect the dots with the people that already have the attention, or these different platforms that already have the attention, and then just adding the health spin to it. Because again, it's no point of having all these things and you don't have the body or the mentality or anything to be able to enjoy it.
Right. And it seems like there's been a conscious shift in the culture in terms of people being focused on mental health, people being focused on health in general, the idea of going to therapy, things like that. I mean, we're seeing Lil Jon, where he's transitioned into, putting out meditation albums, and he's doing yoga and bodybuilding and, all of that. So I think that is dope that now it's cool to be healthy. It's cool to be in tune with your mental health. And also in terms of mental health, I think that people also don't know that not having, not taking care of your mouth, and getting your dental needs taken care of could also affect your mental health.
100%.
Yeah, I
100%.
think.
Yeah, I mean, just like, you know what you look like in the morning, right? So you seeing that reflection every day. It's important to make sure you feel, important and feel good about yourselves. And we've done that so many times where we have patients where they're a little bit, squeamish, or they don't feel that confidence. And it's because of some small thing, some small enhancement, or some small break that they had. And it's literally changed their entire personality, right? So it's something powerful about being able to bless people in that capacity and improve their dental health, but also correcting certain areas that they don't appreciate about themselves. And that's the rewarding part about everything, is just being able to meet people where they are and service them at that high level.
No, for sure.
Yeah. Even circling back to what I was saying at the beginning of the episode with the gentleman who was 70 or 80. At the time, I'm 7. I'm not thinking that's mental health, but just sitting here right now, it's clearly he had a bad attitude with everyone just because he wasn't confident in this aspect. And I even know a young lady who works at Delta Airlines. She said she applied to be a flight attendant 2 or 3 times, and she was missing a tooth, a side tooth. And she was thinking that was probably one of the main reasons, because Delta's big on presentation. You have to wear your lipstick, you have to be in compliance, whatever the case may be. But she ended up getting a bridge right there and ended up getting a job when she applied again 3 or 4 months later. So just imagine, the turmoil, the emotional turmoil that can kind of cause, because you're I need to fix my teeth, because that's the first thing anyone sees. So it definitely plays a huge part in your mental health.
No, for sure. And then I think also health-wise, what a lot of people don't understand is if you have cavities, you have this bacteria in your mouth, you're getting this inflammation, this bacteria goes into the bloodstream.
Come on, man.
Things like that. So I think that from also a health perspective, a lot of people aren't understanding that, neglecting, these things that you need to get done, could also affect you mentally, as well.
And you could literally die. You know what I mean? There's a classic story of this kid out in Maryland. His name was DeMonte Driver, who was 12 years old, that died from a tooth abscess. Which is, people talk about dental pain so taboo, oh man, I had a pain, man, I had an abscess, that's serious, man. That can go to your bloodstream, you literally could die. So it's just kind of one of those things where educating people, right? Education ensures that your services last longer than a day. So we out here preaching it to get the word out about the seriousness of it, and then opening those hours to make it available for people, because again, a lot of people are dealing with very serious conditions. They're trying their best to kind of support it with palliative care, and they got antibiotics, and they popping antibiotics like gummy bears, and that's messing up their gut flora, their gut health, you know what I mean? But they just trying to calm everything down, but at the end of the day, it comes down to going somewhere where you can get that problem solved.
No, for sure. And speaking on just where we were talking about, being in tune with the culture and things like that, you guys also did a merch collab with Frico.
Yeah.
And which I think I might be going on a limb, but I think I'm accurate in saying you guys might be the first dentist office to do a merch collab. Can you guys speak on, how that came about and why that was, also something that you guys wanted to do in that non-traditional route of marketing?
Our biggest thing is, like I said, just being walking billboards, and also just allowing people to understand that we're people just like them. Although we're doctors, we want to be fresh.
Hello.
So we want to, a lot of people wear these graphic tees or whatever the case may be. And, Frico is a well-known figure here in Atlanta, where everyone kind of sees his work, and, we respect it as well. So we figure, these are cool looking t-shirts. We can kind of put this design or this logo on the t-shirt, get it out. And, a lot of times we just hand it to patients after treatment from time to time. Sometimes they pay. It just kind of depends on, once they spend over a certain dollar amount for a procedure, sometimes we'll just give it to them for free, just for the love. Right. Because a lot of times that's marketing in itself. They're wearing our merchandise. Prayerfully they had a great time with us at the office, and now, hey, where you get that shirt? Not only is it a nice looking shirt, but it's also something that makes you think, okay, that's a dental shirt. So maybe we should go check them out. So that's kind of how it started.
And Frico from the Eastside too, man.
Okay.
Me and him went to the same high school. So it just kind of, again, it just made sense.
Right.
It just made sense, yeah.
No, I can dig it. And why do you guys think that, most dentists stick to like the old school, traditional, if you want to say, style of marketing, 9 to 5, postcards, insurance only systems, when clearly a model like you that you guys are implementing makes sense?
I think it's because they've had a good life. You know what I mean? Like they've just It's just kind of one of those things where if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? And they make great. So I'll be transparent. So a lot of dental offices, it's very easy for a dental office to make $1 million a year. Like that's just like a very taboo thing. Like a good dental office can easily make $1 million a year, right? So with $1 million a year, a dentist take home is probably could be like 400 to 500.
Yeah, 3 to 5.
3 to
depending on
5,
overhead.
350 to 5, right? So you start looking, okay, 350 to 5, working 4 days a week. I own my own situation. I get to take off however. It's just a comfortable way of living. And I think a lot of people just kind of get caught in that. And that's just I'm not about to do anything different than what we've been doing for the eternity of dentistry, right? I think for us, we just kind of got exposed to a lot of different things when it came to dentistry. And one of the biggest things was just this emergency model, right? And realizing that there's a lot of people that are dealing with dental issues after hours or outside of the normal traditional hours. And the thing about an emergency patient is that you don't have to sell them anything. They are already in pain, right? So it's just kind of we are the savior in that capacity. So you don't have to sell them anything. And a lot of times that's just, if the numbers make sense for them, they're going forth with the treatment, right? And outside of that, they're, so grateful. They're so appreciative of you being able to do this service for them after hours or on the weekends. So for us, we were like, all right, how to still have that normal dental office feel, but then also be available for the people that need us the most. Because again, a lot of times when we're needed the most as dentists, traditionally, the door closed. The door closed. We golfing, we kicking it. We're doing something else. So that's the reason why we kind of went this route.
Eastside Dental Group, from what I've seen, is more about community than anything. Why is it important for you as Black dentists to create this kind of access here in Atlanta?
First off, understand Atlanta is a predominantly Black city. And we also understand it's very important for little boys and girls to see this in this light versus, someone being 50 plus years old. Like I said, we're like the uncles for the youth or the big brothers for the youth. And then, like I said, understanding, kind of speaking back on what he was just saying, in terms of being accessible, you can see us a little more frequently. So you see that, we're very personable. So you can have a conversation with us, and we're speaking about the culture and understanding where society is kind of turning everyone's attention. Everyone has a smartphone. So everyone is seeing, okay, well, on weekends we go to Punt City Market, or, on Mondays we go to Magic. Oh, wow, my dentists know about this as well. So that's lowering the barrier, because a lot of times when you see your physician, you may not have these type of conversations. In dental office, understand that the mouth is it's a very sacred area, and a lot of people are very shy when it comes to it. So before you allow me to look inside your mouth and do any type of work, whatever the case may be, we need to have a conversation. And that's another reason why we offer the free cleaning on your first exam, because at the very least we want to lower all barriers so you can get to know us personally. So once you get to know us personally, then from there you can say, okay, Eastside Dental Group is now my new dental home. So like I said, just being available on the weekends, being available in the evenings, it just allows more at-bats, in the event where, someone finishing football practice and want to come in at 7 p.m., we may spark an interest in them saying, okay, wow, well, if I don't make it in football, maybe I could be a dentist, because this dude, he got dreads, he probably had locks hanging out the back of his helmet too, just like me.
Right.
So just little small stuff like that we know go a long way.
Right. And what would you say is one of the biggest misconceptions when it comes to our teeth, or just when it comes to dentistry?
It's a lot of those.
Yeah, it's the time. I think one of the biggest things, people thinking that they got time and they can wait. You know what I mean? I'll say this: if you're in pain, it's too late. It's too late, right? If you're in pain, more than likely that tooth is in cardiac arrest, for lack of a better term, right? Is we trying to save it, or it's gonna be gone, right? So just figuring out like, look, just going in and getting those checkups. And I think culturally that goes to just a lot of things, right? We don't, especially black men, we might not want to go, we don't check our blood pressure, so we don't want to go to our medical physicians because of whatever else we done got exposed to, and like how the doctors were quote unquote lying to us about certain things and how people treated us. It's a lot of cultural things that have been passed down, but like, being able to be culturally competent, but then being able to explain to people that, look, we just like you, we're gonna have a conversation, we're gonna be transparent, and knowing this is a safe space to have conversation, because at the bare minimum, at least know what's going on, right? It's up to you to decide if you want to go forth with treatment, but I think it's important that we at least know what's going on with our dental health.
Right. And for manifestation purposes, where do you guys see Eastside Dental going in the next few years?
We definitely see to the moon. We definitely want to expand, and understanding that, a lot of people understand right now we have one sole office, we have a flagship location, but like I said, we've both worked in like these different type of emergency environments, and seeing that I'm from Mississippi and he went to Tennessee State and things like that, the need is there as well. So why can't Eastside Dental Group continue to grow throughout? Because there was a point in time, when he was speaking on emergency, we were both flying to Kansas City, Missouri, just to help out and do dental work, but also understanding that in emergencies, a lot of times when you're in that pain, once you're out of pain, you don't think of the dentist anymore. So we want to bridge that gap of understanding that, okay, we see emergencies, but we also can be your continuing care providers, where we're at the very least giving you exams, x-rays, and trying to be as preventative as possible. So because we want to be preventative, we have to commit to the weekends, we have to commit to the evenings, whereas a lot of dentists may not feel that way. But as they continue to see, how things are transitioning and how it makes it easier for the patient, because we all took an oath once we put on these white coats that we're going to do what's best for the patient. And sometimes what's best for the patient may not be what's best for my schedule, but we got to make it as accessible as possible for patients. So I definitely see Eastside Dental Group growing, expanding, multiple offices, multiple doctors kind of working with us as well, to just help further help the need.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that our need will probably definitely be in the South a lot, expanding through the South, because it's such a need in the South, man. With the food that we're eating, what we're exposed to, the sugars, the diets, the et cetera, right? So being able to kind of, we definitely want to go. So our current office is in Norcross, right? So Eastside Dental in Norcross, everybody like, what you talking about, right? So the next office, we want to be closer toward the east side, so Decatur area. And then we'll probably kind of lean towards going south, so South Georgia area. And then just kind of keep extending, right? Looking into Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, but just really kind of building out this oasis of hope in the South. And then of course, just, getting other doctors. We got a really good pipeline of other doctors that want to be a part of this movement. So as we continue to build, just being able to create this culture where people know this is a dental home that has a great flagship in multiple areas. Okay,
that's what's up. And for the viewers that are watching and interested in coming to Eastside Dental Group, what all do you offer? Like, can you come and get braces? Can you come and get veneers there? Like, what do you guys offer?
Between the two of us, if you can think it, we can do it.
100%.
So, a lot of times dentistry gets this bad rep into a point where if you don't really label yourself as a cosmetic dentist or implantologist, most people may not know those are services that you offer. But at Eastside Dental Group, we offer everything from the basics to fillings to extraction, whether it's a wisdom tooth or a regular tooth.
Whether the tooth is impacted, or they'll know what that means.
Yes.
Whether it's impacted or exposed, we take it out.
Yes, implants, bridges, all on next cases, veneers. So although, we're labeled as general dentists, we are what we call like super GPs. Super GPs. So we do a little bit of everything. If you can think it, or if you've gone to an office where you needed that particular treatment done, I'm sure between the two of us, we'll make sure it gets done.
100%.
All right, that's what's up. And man, I really appreciate you guys pulling up and giving us so much thorough information, and being able to open our audience's eyes to like something that's so important, you know, like your health, like your teeth, and you know, all of that. So definitely appreciate you guys for pulling up. Do you have any shout outs that you want to give before we get out of here?
Shout out to everybody that helped us get here. You know what I mean? Our families, right? We stand on the shoulders of giants that helped us get to this point. A lot of sacrifices to get to this point. Rest in peace, my grandmother, Mary Sattler, just passed this week. Very instrumental, was a reflection of where I was from, right? So being able to build something of this capacity, she was at our grand opening, seeing what we were going and what we were building. Very grateful for her. And, you know, grateful for the Eastside Dental community, the people that have blessed us so far, and the people that have been supportive and sharing and liking and sending patients over our way. We're just super grateful for all y'all.
And I pretty much echo everything he's saying, you know, from the community to friends, family. It just seems like everyone is trying to help lift us as we continue to climb, and that's something that we're not going to take lightly. We appreciate each and every one of you all, the prayers, the hopes, the well wishes. You'll be surprised at how many people want to see us succeed, and that goes a long way. And even some of the bad things that may have potentially happened in life, everything is always a lesson. We never look at anything as a loss. So things that have happened in the past, it potentially happened for a reason, because we may not be sitting here today without some of those things that has happened. So everything that has happened up until this point, God knew it would be here, and we're just so appreciative for everyone that have been praying and just kind of hoping for our success.
And how can people find you guys online? Website,
So
Instagram?
that's eastsidedentalgroup.com. On Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, it's Eastside Dental Group, all one word, all lowercase. And then our own personal is Dr. Dental 16, so Dr. Dental 16.
And mine is my first name, DEJUANQUARIES. It's just my first name. So within any of those platforms, you can find either one of us. We're always here and accessible. We're not going to say one thing that's not true. If you need us at Eastside Dental Group, we're here. So please get off the porch, come to Eastside Dental Group. We're going to definitely make sure we got you.
That's what's up. Appreciate you.
Talk to the cops. I was on Pine that last in stock. Back in the day, I invest in the block. Fast forward now, I'm investing in stock.